time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Next Issue podcast.
Hey now.
Today we have a smaller crew today. It's a big holiday for everyone with the Superman anniversary. So Josh and Kyle took the day. So we got a skeleton crew running the show today.
The real DC fans.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. How's it going, Clay?
All right. How are you doing, man?
Doing all right. Doing all right. I'm glad to be back. We did skip last week, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's nice to come back, especially because usually when we skip a show or two, that means that we come back with a bunch of stuff to talk about that we've seen and done and stuff. So it's fun. So on our main topic later today, earlier this week we had the 85th anniversary of Superman. So we'll definitely be talking about some of our favorite stories, maybe some more underrated stuff. I put out a few call out on our socials for people to let us know their favorite stuff too. And yeah, we'll talk about Superman and why that character has been around for 85 years and counting, and doesn't seem to be slowing down. Seeing as how we saw this week I think Tuesday was the anniversary.
Yeah.
And James Gunn put out a picture of the script for Superman Legacy. So he's done, or he just typed up the first page and then put a picture.
Yes, he just has the cover ready.
I think that'd be funny.
It
It was
just
just
says,
like, oh no, I'm not finished. This is just the cover page.
You guys got any ideas for this story?
Well, maybe we can dig some out of these things we're going to talk about today. But before we get into all that, we like to talk about the stuff we've been watching and doing and reading. So Clay, you want to kick us off with some of the stuff you've been watching?
Oh yeah. Just this week we revisited a really, I don't know how to describe it. It's a fun 80s horror flick called Popcorn. It's just about a group of people that are trying to raise money, so they put together a theater that has like the 50s kind of attractions that existed where the Tingler was like a thing Vincent Price had, and like chairs would shock you and stuff. So it had like this odorama was a thing. They would like fill the theater with smells from the movie. And it's kind of a cheesy slasher, but it does have a pretty great performance by this guy Tom Villard, that I wanted to talk about, because he was a dude. Actually, I think this is like early 90s, but it has an 80s feel to it.
Okay.
But Tom Villard, this is like one of his last films, and he did a lot of TV in the 80s growing up. But he came out as an AIDS activist because he had AIDS at the time. And that was his cause of death, because this is one of his last films. And I hope people maybe like give this movie a second chance to check out his performance, because it's pretty good. He always kind of played a goofy character. Most people saw him in One Crazy Summer, but teamed with Bobcat Goldthwait. But Popcorn's just a great, fun horror flick to watch, and his performance just really stood out. So I kind of wanted to bring that up and talk about it.
Cool. I don't think I've seen that. I definitely saw. I saw you put the link. When I was looking at the notes, I was like, I thought so. All the things you have written down with
Yeah.
links, they all have a similar kind of feel, and I was like, okay. I mean, I'll just let Clay get into it, but sure.
Well, the second movie I watched, I since I'd been doing that show with Mark where we're analyzing the films of our generation, when I get to films that like I don't like or I didn't really click with,
Okay.
it's forcing me to kind of reestablish like my opinion on these films. So like I
Yep.
kind of hate watched this movie called Kicking and Screaming.
That's the Will Ferrell movie, right?
No, this everyone thinks it's the Will Ferrell
Ah.
soccer movie from 2005. This is 10 years before. This is Noah Baumbach's first film.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Who you should know him from like much more serious films like Marriage Story and shit like that.
And
But
I
he's
believe
actually
he-
a co-writer on the Barbie movie coming out.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I knew he co-wrote the bar. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And like the Marriage Story, I saw that with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson on Netflix, and
Kylo Ren and Black Widow going at it.
yeah, that's good.
And it was supposedly all about his marriage to Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's very like true to heart in a lot of aspects. But his first movie, Kicking and Screaming, I watched and I was really conflicted about it because it's really about rich dudes who have graduated college and they haven't figured their shit out, and so they just have time to sit around. And I'm more aware of class now than ever when watching this, and so I turned to the master, Roger Ebert, and I read his review of this because he talks about class in the review. So it'll be a link in the show notes to read. He wanted to compare this to another film at the time called Doom Generation, who definitely was a lower class of people at the time, but they're both Gen X films. I graduated college in 93. This is a 95 film. And I remember that time period after that. But the best thing about revisiting this is pre 9/11, just all the shit that has happened since the 2000s.
Yeah.
Watching these people who really are just trying to be witty and smart, but don't even have their shit together. Like that's the most they kind of want to have is like a quick witted comment or something.
Clay was watching it, and I'm just picturing the Leo DiCaprio meme where he points at the TV from.
Yeah.
But then you're just yelling canceled. Canceled.
Yeah, I mean, but so I read Roger because he talks about the two different classes that are represented in the Doom Generation versus these guys, and he goes, obviously, I'd want to hang out with these, the guys who have money and have a better class because they're talking about more things he considers important, and that's the interesting part. And so I just kind of broke the film down into like, oh, okay, so this is just dudes dealing with a year after college. One guy loses his girlfriend. One guy can't even like go home because like they're just pretty much trying to just lock down and not move forward in life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the plot. So once you just removed the element of class, it was it was better to watch for me. I don't know.
Okay.
I got more out of it that way, and I appreciated the dialogue a lot better.
Well,
so I'm going to revisit some of his films because I quit watching his films because of one specific movie, and
which one?
Greenberg with Ben Stiller. Yeah.
So when you go to his IMDb, there's like a little reel of his movies.
Yeah.
That's the first one that comes on.
I remember watching that movie and hating it so much, and I was just like, this guy, fuck his scripts. I'm never watching another one of his movies. And then I've seen how much collaboration he's done with Wes Anderson. And I was just
right. Yeah.
who I'm getting a bigger, better appreciation of by going back to the Wes Anderson catalog. But,
so I think whenever that we talked about it when the trailer came out for his latest movie, but I'm just not a Wes Anderson person. And
Yeah.
maybe one day I'll try it. Maybe one day I'll grow into it. But for now, it doesn't. The like I get the aesthetic; it's cool, and I mean, we even found that website right. But there's
Accidental
also
Wes
there,
Anderson.
yeah, there's also this really funny TikTok that I've seen a bunch of times where it's like, so I think Wes Anderson films for the most part, have Caucasian actors in them.
Yeah.
So what this TikTok is doing is kind of like what this Wes Anderson movie could like. It's a Wes Anderson look, but just with like people from different backgrounds. So it's really like there's very little shorts. Like there's just like one image or like a still thing, but it's really really interesting because the aesthetic is definitely very recognizable.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's funny when you can see it in films you don't expect it to. Like I was watching a horror film and I can't remember what happened, but I like saw the way the screen was set to this house, and it looked like a Wes Anderson moment.
I mean, I think sometimes that juxtaposition of that look on a horror movie can really work to kind of throw you off. Like
Yeah,
even the movies like Funny Games, where it's like these preppy kids, but then things take a massive turn. I don't know. I'm not sure. I want to go back and watch that, but then I'm like, I should probably watch the original version. You,
I if you go back to Wes Anderson films, I'm going to tell you to just start with Bottle Rocket because he hasn't developed the aesthetic, so it's really about the story,
okay.
and it's really really good. And then the Royal Tenenbaums, and just realize that the story he's always telling is about dysfunctional people,
Hmm.
typically dysfunctional families. Uh, and then just the insanity around it. Like I'm kind of curious, like how he grew up. I know he's from Dallas, and he went to school here.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, and when you see Bottle Rocket, you'll see like areas of Dallas that they shoot in because I know they shoot in Deep Ellum for a scene where they're walking down the street. The Ice House is the building that's at the end of the film of Bottle Rocket that they're robbing. And I know that house that they use in most of the scenes for one of the Luke Wilson's house is a local house too.
Okay. Huh. So I clicked on your link to go to the Roger Ebert website
Yeah,
too. Who's running that now?
his wife,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, because I see that they still have reviews for like movies that recently recent stuff. I guess they have a backlog of all his like essays
all
and
his reviews and
yeah.
essays, and then they have contributors, but like his wife's name was Chaz, and she's got
Okay.
like some posts in here if you go in here and check them out.
Cool. Yeah, so I mean, because Roger Ebert's doing kind of like it's probably one of like people like him inspired people like I mean we just want to talk about movies and media and stuff, right?
Yeah,
That's now that we also have the ability to put our stuff out there. It's back then it was like you had to show that it was worth somebody's time to like put on a camera and take the resources to do it. Now that it's so accessible that like even if you don't have the talent or nobody wants to see it, you can still put it out there.
yeah. So someone will put a piece of shit out there. But yeah, when I would watch like at the movies with Siskel and Ebert, that would be a time where I might get to see a trailer that I didn't see in the theater. I might
Is
get to see a movie that I didn't know that was coming out.
is that the show that used to air like Saturday evenings, like on Channel 8? I
I
used to
don't
watch
remember, but
something.
it for a time it was like on WGN, so it was like Chicago station carried it. So if you had cable, you could
Oh,
see it.
okay.
I think it
Maybe
was
that
on
was it.
public access or not public access, but public TV like PBS for a while.
I remember like it was a show where they were just sitting on two couches next to each other and they would talk about the movies and they give the thumbs up or down or whatever. But I remember it was like on the weekends and the evenings usually that I would like I would just stumble on because I was walking through channels. I'm like, oh, I like movies. I'll watch these two guys talk about movies, even though I haven't seen them. Very interesting. But I mean, it's not like it was an appointment TV. Like I didn't know. It was just when I
Yeah.
stumbled onto it. So
Oh, see, it was appointment TV for me because there was no shows about movies like
Yeah.
you know.
yeah,
This is the
other
80s,
than
so even if you found like a bulletin board like on the internet at the time that you could dial up to, it was just chat. So you were just chatting with other randos about stuff.
well, we know how that turned out.
But Kicking and Screaming a lot better than, and I'm kind of glad I revisited it.
So,
I'm
Would
curious
you want to
about.
revisit Greenberg?
I probably will.
Okay. Okay.
'Cause
Let us know how that goes.
Yeah, I probably will, and I hate that.
I'm sure Josh and Kyle may have more to say about that too. Like that movie, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anyone who's seen it. Like even when I posted I had seen it and I hated it, like one other person said, "Oh, good. I'm glad you said something. We were about to watch it."
Oh wow! So you did. It wasn't even somebody that had seen it. You just stopped somebody from watching it.
Yeah,
That's really funny. Nice.
but I mean, like me and Mark had this discussion. Mark watched a film that I will not mention on here because I don't want people to seek it out. But he watched one of those like most disturbing
can
films.
you put it on the chat? I want to know what it is.
Oh, okay. Have you seen that movie?
Wait, where'd you put it on? Discord?
I put it in Discord.
Oh, I've heard of it. No, I haven't.
Okay, yeah, it is the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life, and I don't believe in censoring things because, like, Shelby got it at her store. Like, there was like, and so she put it in the case, and I was like, yeah. I said, honestly, I don't think you should sell that to anyone. And she's like, it was pretty expensive. I think it was like $60 or something.
Okay.
And so she's like, and she said somebody had bought it. I think it was maybe a steel book of it. I don't know.
Watch out for the person that sold it to the store, and then watch out for the person that bought it.
Yeah, but I just don't believe that anyone should watch that film, so I don't talk about it or give it a title.
That's fair.
But Mark and I talked about it on the last episode, so if people really want to find out, you can listen to.
Yeah, if you that's a good tease. If you really want to know what we were talking about in private, just go check out Clay's other podcast, and then you'll
Social
hear
Spectators with Mark Ramsey.
Nice. All right, let me jump in here with a couple things, and then we'll go back to your stuff.
Sure.
We'll save the Mando stuff till like that'll be our transition from this to the main thing.
Yeah.
How about that? So I watched a bunch of movies, and I'll go in no specific order. But I watched Renfield, the new Nicolas Hoult movie.
Yeah.
I'll say it's probably gonna be on streaming pretty soon because I don't think it's a very good movie, but I do love the performance of both Nicolas Cage and Nicolas Hoult. I think they both did it. If the movie had been, and you can go check out the full review on the channel, if the movie had been more about them two, their relationship, I would, because it was only like 90 minutes too. It was a very short film. Something
which is like a key thing for me lately is 90 minutes. I'm gonna pick this movie.
It's a good. Yeah, I didn't even have to go to the restroom in the middle. So that tells you how short it was. So if it, nothing against Awkwafina, I just don't think she was the right cast for the character. Because I think they wanted something a little more serious, and I just went it like, unfortunately, like to me, she's kind of a goofy person in everything she plays. So except for The Farewell, that was really well done. If you haven't seen The Farewell, go check that out. But yeah, I mean, if like I said, I like Nicolas Cage, so I'll check out his movies. But yeah, this is probably worth staying at home and watching it then.
Okay, good. Then I'll wait because I think it's going to be on Peacock.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, I think we just got Cocaine Bear a little while ago there. So
yeah, I did watch Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, good. Everyone should.
It's a fun watch, but I'm not sure a repeat is worth it.
Only if you want to check out like Ray Liotta's last film.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth it for Ray Liotta. There's some good stuff in it, but it's like it seems trying like it's trying too hard to be
A
a
little
cult
bit.
movie.
The my main takeaway was, and maybe we talked about, is like give Elizabeth Banks a slasher comedy film. I think that would be real. Like she could really direct something like that. Because the scenes where like it gets real slashery, like kind of
Yeah,
horror, those were really cool. Like that was
yeah,
really good. Um, but it was also like it's kind of weird, but it was also very comedic, lighthearted at the same time. So it really worked.
yes, yeah. You're
Um,
you're supposed to laugh at everyone dying in
yeah, yeah,
super
yeah.
violent ways
What's her
because there's a
what's the
bear on
name of the
cocaine.
sheriff? She's a character actor, or like the
Yeah,
best
it was
thing.
basically the whole cast of The
Yeah,
Americans.
yeah. You're right. You're right. And Alan Alright solo. So I also went back and for my buddy's podcast, they're talking about Alien, 1979 Alien. I had not rewatched this in a long time, and
Dude,
boy, this movie is so well done. It is fucking insane. Uh, it's so cool because you really are getting two movies for the price of one, right? You have this exploration mystery thing, and it's so well paced that it like it's almost cut down the middle, right? Everything leads up to the dinner scene, and
yes.
that happens like almost at the middle of the film, and then from there it turns into a completely different movie when the alien finally shows up, which is also wild that you don't really have the alien really show up until like maybe the last 15 minutes of the film or so, like, and you don't see the xenomorph a lot, and it still managed to become like just a really iconic looking uh character, and like, I mean, they're
Well,
still
that's the
making
advantage of
them.
the first film is
Yeah,
you don't have to show a lot, and
yeah.
then in the second one you just go crazy.
So I think I'm gonna keep watching them, just kind of go through the whole thing again. I know some of them are not as good.
I will say I bought the box set the when the Blu-ray came out, and the third film, the Fincher film, he they gave him an opportunity to complete the graphics in there to update it so the CGI looks a little better, a little more blended in. And he
Okay,
said no. So it just airs that way and it's really rough looking. So let me
okay,
know what
interesting.
copy you see and if three looks as bad as I'm.
Oh yeah, and the one I watched for Alien, I believe it was the director's cut, because I think they did. There are some changes, and I read about the changes, and I think I'm glad I watched that version because I do prefer, like, they changed up the pace in some of the scenes, and inserted some things that they had originally cut out. So but I think it's a little faster. So that I think I'm sure in '79 it was nice to have those bigger, longer scenes because you didn't get that as much. But I think now that we've seen, I mean, now that Alien kind of launched this whole thing, and people have been improving upon the genre like over and over, like, I think it's nice to have that. But it's still, I mean, for a film that's that old, like, it just holds up so well. The music, even the visuals are so cool.
I mean,
Um,
you look at that amazing cast
yeah.
and you
Oh
look at how the
God.
rooms are
Yes, dude.
lit.
Ah, yeah.
There's just
Uh,
so much in it to appreciate.
yeah. It's really, really good. Um, and then for my other buddies' podcast, they were watching, and this was a couple. That was actually 2 weeks ago. I rewatched Assault on Precinct 13, the 2005 version. I know. So I know you don't like it. Uh, I like it more than the original one, and I think when if go listen to, they made another. That's my buddy Corey's podcast. They Oh no, Clay's gone. Um, they so their the whole premise of their
How
podcast is
can
that
you like it more than the original?
I just think it's more of it's less campy, and I understand that maybe that's part of the charm. I just don't think that that's not usually
But
what
but
I
it,
go for.
there but there's a level of violence in it that
Yeah,
takes it. It's I mean, I understand the campy trait that with some of the dialogue in there, but there's also like a child that is shot
I yeah
that
yeah they
is
were talking
that
about
is
that on
very
the
violent.
Mhm.
that's kind of triggers everything in here.
I think also at this time, like all those people, all the like everyone in the cast was somebody that I would like. Oh, I want to see them in more stuff. Like Lawrence Fishburne's in it, and Jared
Ethan Hawke
DeMatteo,
and
Ethan Hawke,
Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo, like who's praised like this insane character. The only one I would definitely cut like Ja Rule. I don't care for his performance.
Ja Rule.
And then even what's the name of the older officer? He's also in a bunch of stuff.
Oh, I hate that I'm gonna even look this up. But
Yeah, he was in a show called Fighter. It's like a boxing show on FX that only lasted one season. I really like that though. But yeah, no, I went back and yeah, I like it. I think in 2005 we got a bunch of movies that some of them were remakes that just really appeal to my vibe, and those are kind of like ingrained in like what I like in movies. So maybe if I had seen the other one prior, like if I had seen the original first, but
yeah, I mean, to me, it's about the way Carpenter frames being isolated. Like he's so good at that shit. And Assault on Precinct 13 is like this precinct that is shutting down in a highly violent neighborhood.
yeah,
But a man has come in who has killed some gang members. And so they're coming after him and they have to protect him, but he's just kind of like losing it. And then a bus stops that's transporting prisoners, and the prisoners and the guards have to work together to survive
yeah.
this thing that starts at the beginning, which is like some sort of ritual that.
So that part's kind of weird.
Yeah,
Like,
that part's
yeah,
the kind of wicked part is like their commitment to violence.
yeah. Like there's
But
like human sacrifice and shit. I think right at the beginning.
not in the original. They just all cut their hand and like,
Okay,
put it in
yeah.
a bowl of blood, and they explain
That-
it later.
That's very John Carpenter though. Like, whereas with the updated version, first of all, I love the cold open of like Ethan Hawke's like undercover thing that goes wrong. I forgot all about that when I was rewatching. I was like, am I even watching the right movie?
Yeah, I'm
And
like,
yeah, that's really good. I also really like the whole aspect of the reason they're isolated is because of the snowstorm. Like that, I like that. And then also the addition of like it's not just this like gang members and stuff, is like corrupt cops that will need to kill this man. So like you don't even know which, like when the other cop shows up, the one that works there, like can you even trust that guy, or can you even trust any of the cops that are in the precinct already?
but
So
then call it something else, because then you're changing the story completely.
it definitely is one of those remakes that really just takes the name and maybe like the overall high level premise.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's not a yeah.
yeah,
It,
because I'm looking at the writer on this, and he created The Purge, all his
See,
films.
I like The Purge, and that's
Oh,
another
I do too. I love those.
another Ethan Hawke movie. So
That's true. I forgot he's in the first one.
yeah, he's on the first one. The first one's like a very low budget type of adventure. Really, there's not a lot, but it's good. But yeah, I like it, and I'm glad it's fun to watch movies, like with your podcast too, like because you want to talk about them or do that. So, the last one I'll mention, this one is in theaters. It's an anime movie called Suzume.
Yeah, so I watched your video on.
So this is done by the same creator of other movies like Your Name and Weathering with You, where you have like these are like kind of like contemporary fantasy films where like it's more of a contemporary world for all intents and purposes, but like there's always some kind of fantastical twist to it, like maybe time travel, and this one's more like some kind of like magical door that affects changes, but it was all inspired by real events, and by that I mean like that in Japan there's a lot of earthquakes just because of the way it's kind of laid out. So like he takes that concept of like, okay, well, what's causing these earthquakes, and adds a little fantastical twist to it. And then you also have like this girl who's kind of lost everything, and she's dealing with her own loss and grief of like losing her family, but now she has this other new family. So like it's really like it's just really really fun, like emotional, really good stuff, and it looks beautiful too. So If yeah, whenever that one's out on, and that's the only bad thing about anime movies, they take forever to come out on anything. Like I would love to go to the theater again, but I don't like. I'm saving my theater outings for like new stuff, right?
Guardians.
Um, yeah. Well, like this weekend, I kind of want to go watch The Covenant, that new Guy Ritchie film, but
Yeah, I'm very curious about that one. That's a weird
it's
feel.
different from the stuff he usually makes. I feel.
Yeah, it's usually crime, and this is
Yeah.
all war based.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, that's it. We got, like I said, I got reviews for a bunch of those things on the channel. So if you really, if you know you're watching this and you want to hear more, go check it out. But let's go back to you, Clay. What else? What else you been up to?
I've been zipping through Akira. I finished volume 2 and 3, and dude, it's so weird to say this. The comic is better than the movie.
Have you finally covered all of the movie now that you're in volume 3?
No,
Oh, really?
really. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go to the library Monday and pick up volume 4 and 5
Nice.
because, dude, they're just quick reads. It's all action. It's just got so much going on. It's so fun to dig deeper, see the characters explored further, uh, and then just see how close this is to other things like Stranger Things, other projects it's inspired. Just the look of it is amazing. Like, I just love that he'll spend a half page on a giant building,
Yeah.
just to give you the epic proportions of the world they live in now.
So I think I will say the only thing that's kind of holding me back from reading this is that it's only available physically, so you have to go hunt down the books. You can't read it digital. Well, you can't
I
legally
was gonna
read it
say,
digitally.
yeah, I think I
Yeah,
saw a site this morning that had all the
yeah,
books.
yeah. I'm sure there's scans of the manga.
Yeah, and
But
the
I
ones
like
I
I
have
don't
are all black and
I don't
white.
want to lose the quality of it, right? Because I think when and people are getting really good at these scans. um, so I think I'll definitely check it out because I love the movie. Like the visuals in the movie and the concepts and the story, like they've inspired also so much of the stuff we like in sci-fi and
Yeah,
so yeah. And there's a really nice box set of like the whole Akira thing.
I saw that and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh shit. But when am I ever going to see a copy of that, like at Half Price Books?
Yeah, no, for sure. Although I don't know, you never know who's getting rid of their stuff.
Yeah, that's true. It, because uh, Shelby said that they've had a Doctor Who collector bring in like
Oh,
just multiple sets of things, and it's interesting to see like the stuff that people keep and everything. And like Josh is a big fan of the Eighth Doctor. That's just the American Doctor Paul McGann that did the Fox movie,
very
but
patriotic of
yeah,
Josh.
but he loves the radio dramas because he did a lot of those before the show was relaunched. And
Okay,
so I said, well, look out for Paul McGann stuff. If you see anything, so I can let Josh know.
that's nice. Yeah.
um, read the Eternals.
Okay, you read the Eternals. I wasn't sure if you had to watch the movie.
No, no, no. I went back and read the Jack Kirby stuff. It is slower paced, but makes more sense
Mhm.
in the scheme of things. It's uh, and I suggest reading a physical copy if you're going to read the Jack Kirby stuff because the pages are just better. The digital one that I saw it on broke up the art,
Ah,
and so you couldn't get a really great 2-page
yeah.
splash page of like the ships and stuff like that. But the one I read is the Kieran Gillen one with who is it?
It's a
Esau
Rivik.
Ribic art.
Yep.
Check this out for the art. The story may be like, for me, it was kind of hard to follow. It wasn't the best Eternals, but then again, if it can't pull you in, that was the hard part. That was just the story was hard for me to follow.
Okay.
But the art is so amazing. It is just like it's it's cinematic at times.
Mhm, mhm.
It's the expressions he gives people are so theatrical.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
they are.
unbelievable. Just the I can't believe this guy just does comic books. Like it
It,
just blows me away because his stuff is so amazing. I'm just trying to think of like, but the, okay, I will have a Daniel gripe. There is a lot of just this in here. There is a lot of like, who are the Eternals? Oh, well, there's this faction, and then there's this group, and
yeah,
oh, there is even one page in here that has to explain two different locations of Eternals and their history, and then has a TLDR at the bottom. That's the kind of stuff that I'm like, if you can't explain it in here, or if it's too heavy, then maybe it shouldn't be a comic.
yeah, and that's a little bit of Karen Gillan's such a smart writer
Yeah, yeah,
that
he is.
sometimes I'm like I love this run now that I've actually gone through it. I've read it. I've read all the little one shots and stuff, and like I said, all this leads to that Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, Judgment Day stuff.
Judgment Day. Yeah, and you've been so hyped about it. I'm waiting for it to come out. I'm going to pick it all up and read
Right.
that Eternals run.
Yeah. So, and okay, I'm glad. I'm glad. So this is only the first volume you read, right?
Right.
Okay, good. I won't talk about it because there's really some really neat stuff. But watching my favorite part about watching the movie, not only did I really enjoy, I really enjoyed the movie. I don't think everyone did, but I was really on board. But it also explains who the Eternals are and kind of how they work, and like there's the big reveal of like, oh, they just kind of come back to life, right? There's the machine or whatever, which when I was reading the comic, that was really hard for me to grasp because then all the narration comes from the machine or the
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, Earth. So, um, but now once I knew that because I had never really read Eternals, like I've never gotten to the Neil Gaiman stuff or the Kirby stuff. But once I got that concept, I was like, okay, now I can follow the story because I can see, where what Karen Gillan's trying to do and all those things he's trying to explain. I've already got an explanation from the movie a little bit, so I don't need to. I skipped a lot of those diagram pages and little.
So
Yeah,
many of them.
there's a
And just,
lot. There's a
yeah,
lot.
there's a lot just to explain like the depth of the
Mhm.
Eternals and the Deviants.
Yeah,
But if they're not going to appear in there, do I need to know their names? If they're not, a character in the story, do I care?
I think that'd be fun. I mean, I don't know. Maybe one day we can ask, somebody that does comics because I think who else? Tinian does that a little bit where he'll have like a little page with maybe like some paragraphs and stuff. So like maybe one of these we can ask one of these writers like, do you feel like people can skip over? Oh, Hickman does it a lot too.
Oh,
Um,
Hickman's the worst at it.
yeah. So
He created an entire run of X-Men that will just put
yeah,
shit in code and stuff. And like,
yeah,
I enjoy a good, tease or like, deciphering something. I don't want to do it every 23
right.
pages.
I want it to be like a choose your own adventure. If I want to dive deeper, then yeah, maybe I'll read those pages and then it'll give me even more on top of it. But
Yeah,
I don't want it to detract from the story if I skip it,
exactly.
right? So very cool. I'm really glad you're enjoying Eternals. Like I said, Kieran Gillen, the stuff he's been doing on Marvel for the past year and a half now, or even more, I've really, really been enjoying it. I'm glad he came back to do that. I know a lot of people love his Secret Avengers stuff and or Young Avengers, like all the stuff he was doing before.
Yeah.
But this is just really, really cool.
And so in this, have you read this story?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
okay. So is that how they bring Thanos back? Is like with the Eternal Machines?
Oh,
that
he gets his own
rebuild
one
them?
shot.
Huh?
He gets his own one shot to explain all that. So,
Okay.
but it's all part of the bigger story. Like the one shots they're really well woven into the story of everything. So
Okay.
yeah, you'll get an explanation, but I think it's probably in the next volume. So I'll let you get to it. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of questions because that's kind of how yeah that's what it started. That's the first issue ends with him, right? With
Yeah.
them discovering, yeah, which is really fun. Like when I got to that page, and I got to that page twice because I read it and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna wait on this, and then I read it again after the movie, like a few months after. Yeah, we're talking about Thanos. Oh,
Hold on, Cosmo lights out.
yeah, see, Leonard came in the chat. Eternals was so good. I really enjoy that. We'll let Clay deal with Doggy for a minute. Let me go over. In the meanwhile, let me go over some of the comics that I picked up this week. So one of the really cool things Marvel's doing is they're reprinting a lot of facsimiles of their older books. One of those being this X-Men. This is a facsimile of the first X-Men issue ever. I don't think I'll ever have enough money to have the original one, so these are really cool. And what I really like about that is that these reprints come with everything, like including like the original ads that were in the book at the time. Like even the little cover and the colors are pretty much the same. Like they use the same kind of, it's a really quality reprint. And even the back of it has, the same type of ads that you had originally when they were printed. I was just showing off my facsimile copy of X-Men #1.
I've got one of those.
I love that they're doing this because like I'll never have the original stuff, right?
Yeah. That's
So-
my one Stan Lee autograph is on one of those X-Men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. I think I might have gotten one or two on the when they did it with like a silver, like it the cover looks the same, but it's smaller and there's like a silver thing around like a marquee.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Or like a Marvel Masterworks?
Yeah, but it's just a single issue. Like it's just a reprint of the one issue.
Oh, okay.
But so it's really cool. But I like it because Marvel has been doing that. As you can see here, I have the Punisher one.
Oh, yeah.
I think I got one more. Maybe it's not on the wall, but yeah, I've got a few of those. Like these key issues that Marvel likes to reprint. So really
Yeah,
nice.
before Stan Lee was like doing cons all over the place, he was actually selling his autograph on Home Shopping Network. That's how my mom saw that on Home Shop Network and bought me an X-Men signed comic from Stan Lee because he was selling comics on Home Shopping Network.
That's so cool. Well, how much is something like that? Do you remember?
I don't know. It was a gift.
Okay. Oh man, that's crazy. Can you imagine? I mean, that's kind of what they're doing now, like these apps like Whatnot and stuff like that, where they just do like they're just auctioning off their autograph. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I
don't.
Do you have
I have
anything
a
else,
ton
or
of
you-
autograph stuff that I think if I ever tried to sell, I don't have like certificates of stuff. Like I have the first Wolverine run with Claremont and Frank Miller. They're all autographed by Frank Miller, but I met him as a kid, and got autographs on my comics.
You just have to provide is it Providence? Is that what it's called when you have like a story behind it? And I think I watch a lot of Pawn Stars and History Channel, so like they talk about that when like it's got to come in with some kind of story or like maybe a newspaper article or something, and then maybe that adds a little more authenticity to the piece.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Cool.
so if you have a picture of you as a kid running around with the comics, maybe, or
No, I don't have any pictures of me as a kid.
a picture of you and Frank Miller. All right. Do you have anything else, or if not, I'll get into some comics.
Nope. Let's go into some comics.
All right. So yeah, for the week. Oh, the other thing I picked up, and I wanted to show you guys. So I show you the April Fool's variants that I picked up from Tom King, but this is the one I was missing. This one's for Danger Street.
Oh, that's so good.
I love the police hat thing here. And
is then Creeper?
Yeah, the Creeper that he wrote Boa, I guess, so that you would know. I guess he is wearing an outfit. Sometimes I forget that the Creeper is just a guy wearing a costume.
Yeah. He's like always want to compare him to like the Joker, but just the madness of the Joker. But he is just a dude in a costume.
Yeah. So also, I hope this shouldn't get us booted off, but we'll see. So usually when you pick up a comic from Titan and it's already pre-bagged, it's because it's got some adult content on it.
Yes.
So I picked up this. It's called The Giant Cockju, #1 from
Oh my
Image.
god.
It's by Gary Duggan.
Oh, then it's gonna be good.
It's really good. I thought it said kaiju at first when I looked at it. It's funny that it has a quote from Roger Ebert at the beginning. It says, "If something doesn't make you laugh, no one can tell you why it's funny, and it's difficult to reason someone out of an erection." The great philosopher Roger Ebert. And I'll just show you one page. I'll send you the review copy because I think you'll enjoy this comic.
Yes.
But I don't know if you could tell. Let me see. Oh, hold on. Oh, jeez. There you go. You see the third panel?
Yes. He is.
That's what you think it is.
Oh no.
He's humping the building.
I hope that's like maybe Trump Tower or something.
Oh man, when I got to that page, I went back to read the title again, and I was like, oh, this is Kaiju, not Kaiju. Man,
maybe it's the Texas Capitol building.
That really it's that Tennessee building where all the stuff's going on.
Oh,
that really caught me off guard, dude. Like I was not expecting, but I mean, I should have known Gary Duggan. Like he likes doing this kind of funny stuff.
I mean, like I said, like one of my favorite books is the Intentional War on Weed. I know it has a longer title that he did for that one shot, and it's just a fucking hilarious shot at Reagan, the 80s, the heroes of the time, even the war on drugs.
But it's crazy because like dude is so talented. Not only can he do fun stuff like that, but like the stuff he's doing with the X-Men and Iron Man right now, like it's two of my favorite series ongoing. Also, speaking of Superman Lost. This series is really good. I just love this outfit. I think it's kind of a throwback to an outfit he wore in All-Star Superman when he puts that on to go into the sun. Like he puts on that and the helmet.
It reminds me of the Kryptonian clothes from the first movie.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Also, the Ninja Turtles and Usagi Yojimbo, they have a new crossover that Stan Sakai is doing.
Oh, then that's a definite pickup.
I love it. Look at that, the full cover,
dude.
I love when Sakai draws the turtles. I don't know why I love it so much.
I mean, it's just his style. Like doing Usagi for so long. Like I know that the Turtles have a lot of crossovers, but most of the time I thought it was like Eastman and Laird doing.
Yeah, no, this one's really cool. Then also 2 series ended that I really enjoyed: 8 Billion Genies, and then Know Your Station. Both of those are really good. We got reviews on all that on the channel. Now, have you read this? The New Guardians?
No. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I did. Yeah, because it's
what did you think?
I don't know.
I was not fully on board with it, but I think it's because I've been away from the Guardians for a long time.
Yeah, because there's no real everyone that's been picking it up kind of does their own thing.
Yeah.
Like Donny Cates had fun with it. Al Ewing wanted to write a Nova story, and he did. And this one seems to be like somewhere between now and Old Man Quill, maybe. Like I'm not quite sure, but there's this whole Western aesthetic to the story.
Yeah. I don't know if they're trying to do. It almost feels like they're trying to do kind of like Firefly, but with the Guardians.
Yeah,
which I could get on board with for sure, because I like Glancing and Kelly. I think I've read all the stuff we've read from them before, like the Captain America stuff they're doing. That's really fun. So we'll see.
Yeah, but I'm gonna give it time.
Yeah, same. And the other thing is, I think it's Kev Walker, the artist.
Yeah.
I, he's really talented, but just the art didn't really connect with me much. Like I feel like he could have gone a little crazier with some of these creatures, but they kind of seem kind of plain,
Yeah.
like just for aliens. I don't know.
Trying to see
So
where mine.
we'll see. I'll
Oh
check it
yeah.
out again. Yeah,
Scott.
yeah. That I think I have that cover in my room too. That was a really neat one. So
Also, this one I got Avengers Beyond because Scotty Young doing the Beyonder.
that's really good. One of my favorite books this week. I've already talked about it a bunch, but Superboy, Man of Tomorrow. Connor's getting his own little story.
Yeah.
If you don't have a chance to go to the shop, you can actually read the first issue on DC Infinite because this was the winner of that round robin tournament thing they did where the
Oh,
fans pick.
really?
So
Okay.
that's why this is getting a series. But the first issue is fully available on DC Infinite. Like you don't even need the Ultra tier. You can just read the normal one. Because they released it when it won. They released the first issue, and now it's finally printed. So really
Yeah.
cool.
Did you see the news story I posted about DC or Marvel's apps going away? They're just gonna rely on Comixology.
Oh what? Oh, but
The,
you mean the digital?
and the Marvel Unlimited. So you can log into Marvel Unlimited and you should have your books there. But
Oh, okay.
just the
The
basic Marvel
individual.
app is
Yeah,
going
yeah.
away.
I mean that makes sense. I don't use them. Like I use either Marvel Limited, Infinite, or Comixology proper. So, which is a shame because it kind of sucks.
Yeah, it was nice them having their own app because then they could promote their own storylines and have more stuff in it. Like I really think Comixology is going to go away,
But you
and
know what?
they'll bring out something else, and then they're going to lose a lot of digital rights and
Yeah.
start over and make people rebuy stuff.
And you know what? Maybe we'll talk about that in a second. Actually, I do want to talk about that, and this will be a good segue for. Let me show you the last book, and then it'll be a segue into this. We'll do a little news segment, then we'll talk Mando, and then we'll talk Superman.
Okay.
So I picked up this hardcover collected edition of the Batman Who Laughs.
Ooh,
This cover
Jacques.
by Jacques. Yeah. He put it on his Instagram, and I was like, "Fuck!" Well, now I gotta go get the book.
And it
So
is a
really cool.
good run.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. I love this one. I mean, him and Scott Snyder working together. I'll do that any day. But let's do a quick news segment since we brought up Jacques in comics and the state of comics.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted to talk about this last week, but then we didn't have a show.
Oh, the new digital platform.
Yes. So, the new company. So, I mean,
Well, I mean, yeah, I kept insisting it was the digital, but they're going to have physical books. They're going to be
yes.
a whole new publisher, and
So-
it seems like a publisher that's going to compete with Image.
It looks that way, definitely for sure. So I've already signed up. So we're gonna talk about, and I messaged a few of the people that they mentioned were involved on Instagram, and I just asked, "Is the name of your company supposed to be said like this?" So we're talking about Distillery,
Distillery.
which is a new. It's gonna be a new comic. It's a new comics company. It's kind of like I guess it's a comics co-op, kind of, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you can go there and publish, stuff that your own stuff.
So you can sign up. I signed up our show email, so we'll get any updates that they go. But I missed it. The one that responded, funny enough, was Mark Bernardin.
Yeah.
Like I just messaged him like, hey, I want to talk about this on our YouTube show, but I want to make sure that the way you say this is Distillery, right? So and there's a bunch of articles, but I just want to talk about real quick, a little bit of their. This is kind of their mission statement and their, a little bit of information. So it's all creator owned. Creators own their work and a piece of the company, the story itself. So that's kind of what they bring, right?
Right.
You'll have limited edition comics and collectibles, premium, oversized, limited edition single issues. I don't know how I feel about that. I like my comics
Regular size.
the regular size. Yes. Um,
I ran into that problem bagging and boarding some books, and then I got into some old comics that wouldn't fit in the new stuff.
Yeah, that's why I've stopped buying Black Label books that are oversized because
Yeah,
first of all, their collections are so cool. I just rather get the collected.
yeah, that's it. They're making them overpriced and
Yeah,
oversized, so they don't fit in normal boxes. They don't fit in normal bags.
yeah. Now, one thing that they are doing is they're changing up digital, like how you do digital. You buy it, you own it. So I'm guessing it's like DRM free, like like PDFs
Yeah,
and stuff like that, or things that are not just sitting on a cloud somewhere that can be taken away from you at any point. The creators get a cut every time, and there's I do like the no NFT, no crypto, like none of that stuff.
but then there has to be some sort of blockchain.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how they're doing that. I'm sure they explain that more in some of the other articles. I think the New York Times has a really interesting interview with Chip Mosher, who's one of the people that are involved with this. Um, so yeah, here's a list of the founding creators, and I'm sure there'll be more. So this is kind of like what Image did back in the '90s, right? Like,
Right, right. But they just basically got together, said we're going to have a publisher, and
yeah,
they were just competing against Marvel,
hmm
DC. I'd say Dark Horse was
maybe
probably the
Valiant
biggest
too.
third. Valiant was really big back then. Like
Yeah.
under Shooter, Valiant was huge. That was probably the biggest time I think in Valiant history.
Yeah. So, but
But I also noticed most of these founding creators are DC people.
I mean, that's probably one of the like that's probably how they kind of got together.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, Mirka Andolfo, Brian Azzarello, Mark Bernardin. Shout out to Mark once again. Thanks for clearing that up of how to pronounce the name. Elsa Charretier, which I love. I love her. Like, you guys see me post on Twitter when I get the little Patreon prints.
yeah.
Becky Cloonan, Lee Garbert, Jacques, Joel Jones. Yeah, you're right. Most of these are more heavily creator from DC.
And so that makes me curious because I know like Jerry Duggan was doing independent stuff, and obviously like that book you got is not a Marvel book.
Right.
Like, I wonder, is he locked down into Marvel? Is Do they have non-compete
Maybe they have
clauses with things like
some
that?
sort of non compete. But I mean, Jamie McKelvey, who's also here, he's usually a
Yeah,
Marvel guy.
yeah. Young
Uh,
Avengers design Captain
Junko
Marvel.
Junko Mizuno, Stephanie Phillips just started at Marvel too. Like launched, she's doing Rogue and Gambit and Cosmic Ghost Rider at the time,
Yeah,
and I
and
think she's
she's
got
still
another
doing
book.
Harley Quinn.
Yep, and she's got another book. Yeah, she is. And then of course Scott Snyder, James Tynion the fourth, Ram V, and Will Dennis is their founding editor. So it's a lot of real like these are talented creators.
Okay, but I will point out, like when Image started, the biggest problem is you had a bunch of guys who were doing their own thing, so that you didn't have editors who were really tightening things up.
Mm.
There are bad Image books when you go back and look at some of those runs because they just, and in fact, Comic Book Kayfabe just did one on one of my favorite artists, the run of Steampunk by Joe Kelly and Chris Bachalo, is a
Okay.
hot mess. I mean, it really is a hot mess of like what's actually going on in the story. The art doesn't flow with the words and the dialogue. It was a 12-issue run, but it's really just good to go look at the art because the story doesn't play out very well. Uh, you had Wildcats that went into 10 billion different iterations
Mhm.
because no one could really figure out what the fuck that team was other than an X-Men knockoff. Uh, I think the only person who really had it together was probably, oh my God, who did Savage Dragon? Eric
Eric Larson.
Larson, because he's done it the longest.
I think
And
yeah, he was one of the older guys at the time, so I think he had a better. But so looking at this list of creators, I think they all seem pretty well established, right?
oh yeah,
So it looks like it's definitely a different thing. A lot of them have already done a lot of their own creator own stuff. I think they just want um now that they've probably built a lot of those connections that like in publishing and stuff like that, they probably think, no, this is the way we kind of do it ourselves, which is different from Substack. I think Substack was also another real interesting avenue, but a lot of those books are ending up on like Image, right?
Yeah.
Or the Comixology original deals. Like a lot of those are going to Dark Horse for print. So, which I'm glad that they're keeping in mind that print is still like a media that people want.
Yeah, I mean, Comixology did deals with Marvel on we're going to do digital only. Well, they eventually printed them. They'll
Yeah.
always because there's always a demand.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm excited. With this, there's also like Global Comics is another like distributor, like digital distributor.
I'm really curious about the economics of this because
Yeah.
basically what they're saying is like I will have an app that I can read comics on if I buy from them, the distillery app.
Yep.
So I buy all of Jock's books, and then let's say I go, well, I don't like this book. I can't necessarily let you borrow it, but I could sell it to you, and that, and somehow it would be able to transfer from me to you,
Yeah.
and the money that transfers, a part of it will go to the creator.
Yeah, that part's interesting still. Like all that.
That transaction has to take place in their distillery world.
Yeah.
Through their app, so they'll have an economics piece of it that will, charge people. You could put stuff for sale. I'm assuming that you could just go on there, buy stuff, and sell it immediately.
Maybe.
And
I'm very interested to see the future of how this changes the comic industry, if it does, right?
This is probably the biggest move forward for creators to make
Yeah.
money off of old books.
Yeah, I would say so. But I mean, and I think the other thing that's really interesting here is like these are all established creators. These are people that have been working in the industry. They've worked with the big two, and that's kind of helped them build up a fan base and their name. So it's almost as if the industry still almost kind of needs both, right? Like to be you don't have to have worked at Marvel at DC to be a successful creator-owned publisher, but
Yeah.
but it helps, right? It makes things a lot easier. Or also, one way to get into DC and Marvel is by being a successful publisher of others of your own stuff, even if it's not as big. So it's
Right.
interesting. But I'm very excited because at least, hopefully, at least it'll be like it'll make the other companies be like, oh, we need to step up our shit.
Yeah.
So and then another way of getting comics is always a good thing, right? It reminds me a little bit of TKO, but I mean TKO is still just a regular publisher,
Yeah.
but
But they
it's a
offer
little-
options.
yeah. And then, like I said, we also have the Global Comics, which is another like digital outlet now that a lot of these publishers are signing up with. I know they have Valiant Books, Boom, and Image and stuff like that, as well as a bunch of indie, like smaller indie creators can submit their stuff
Right.
there. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Maybe we'll revisit this once there's more news, or maybe once they announce something. Also
Yeah.
to see like what are the price points going to be for this type of stuff, right? I'm used to paying around $4 to $5 for a single issue comic. Is that a fair price? I don't know.
Yeah. And like, I'm curious if do they set limits? Like, let's say I buy a $5 book and I want to let you read it, so I just sell it to you for 5 cents.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then we're just cutting a deal. So then the creator's kind of screwed out of that because I'm selling it to you for pennies.
Yeah.
Does that undercut them, or do they say you can only resell it at this price?
Right. How much control do they have after I bought something? How much control? Which is interesting because like, why would you be able to tell me what I can sell my stuff for?
Yeah, see, there's a control that would be in place that they're not talking
Yeah.
about it. They say you own it and you can sell it, but there's something that's gonna have to register that digital
Yeah.
copy with you. So
Right. Like what's to like for example, right now, I buy this I bought this facsimile at cover price, right? With like $3.99.
your camera just went out.
Oh. The media is trying to censor me.
And he's back.
Yeah, I bought this facsimile for $3.99, right? What's to stop me? Nothing's to stop me from right now selling it for $50
Right.
if I wanted to. Other than like nobody wanting to pay $50, that would be the only thing that would stop me from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. I don't know
But
what.
yeah, if creators could go make their own comics with this place and make money on the resales of those, that would be
Yeah.
interesting. But it also cuts down to the collectability of it, because if it's digital, yeah, I guess there's a collectability, but then you're getting into NFTs. You're getting into that level of like,
Mhm.
let's say Jock goes, I'm going to put out 10 issues of this one book, and they're only going to be digital.
Yeah.
So you can only read it digitally. It's locked down to these 10 people. Then those people could turn around and sell it for huge profits, which would mean he would be able to make huge profits from it.
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot of things going through my head about financially how this would work.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's weird how much I like to see that part of the industry as well. Like, I'm just very interested in like the whole process, not just making the comics, but also like getting them out to people, and then what does that mean? Like you said, like the economics of it. It's really interesting. So
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine imagine you get like a handful of these creators that we see on that list that we love, and they want to put out like an anthology, but they're
Mhm.
only going to do 100 copies digitally,
right.
for 5 years, or maybe they put something on it. Because to me, when you have a supply and demand like this, you can create the collector market of the 90s by publishing millions of copies, but then you end up with the glut.
Right.
So what's the incentive to print out a bunch of digital? You definitely want to put a limit on
I
it.
think digital scarcity is a concept that doesn't make sense to me.
Right. It shouldn't, because it should be a supply and demand.
Right.
But if you want to create a market for things that are digital and collectible, you can put a limit on what you want to put out, but then that just limits your work. I
Yep.
think really the only people who have that advantage are established guys like Jock.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think anybody on that list has that, like a little bit of that, up to different levels of that advantage. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because I mean, God, looking at like Scott Snyder, Ram V,
Mhm.
Stephanie Phillips, like if they just did limited stuff that way, they could make quite a bit of coin.
Mhm.
Because
So
I
we'll
see,
see.
like, just from Substack, I see how like Scotty Young has pivoted and does a lot more stuff through his website now. Like he can sell, covers, original art.
Yeah.
He's
Sketches
all
and
he's always hustling stuff.
yep. Yep. So we'll see. Um. All right. Let's move on to Mandalorian spoilers. So if you haven't watched the third, and this will be brief, we'll just talk about it for a little bit before moving on to our main topic. But I do wanna chat at least about, like, more of a high level. Maybe we'll have a whole Mandalorian show in the future.
Yeah, I really, this has been my favorite season.
That's interesting. I enjoyed it. There was maybe one or two episodes that were not as I didn't think were as good, but I do like. Okay, so my big complaint was that the previous episode was called The Spies, and we only saw one spy. And
Okay.
I don't appreciate being lied to.
Well, maybe it'll play out later.
I mean, when are we getting more Mando?
I
I
know, I know. They tied it up nicely. They don't have to
Yeah,
do another season, but this is, I'm sure, the most successful show on Disney Plus as far as a Star Wars. I mean, every week we get cinematic level brilliance. I
yeah,
mean, I enjoy it. I have a good time. It's like I paid for a ticket to the movies to watch Mandalorians fight on Mandalore against these new and improved trooper suits. They're fucking amazing. They just sit there and take hits, and then it's to the point they're pulling knives on each other. You
yeah.
know, I love that shit, and I've just loved Bo-Katan's arc.
Oh,
Like just the rebuilding of the Mandalorians, getting them together, and her just holding the dark saber at the end of the second to last episode. God, that was just so cool.
that when the Mandalorians finally kind of came together. That was so cool. Like, because it's really funny that this all comes from one character that was on screen for like maybe 10, 15 minutes, right? And then like this whole mythology got built out, and uh which is also weird.
Yeah, the original design of Boba Fett was
Yeah.
going to be the Stormtrooper because it had the Spartan look in the
Yeah.
front, and then it ended up, going to this other throwaway character, Boba Fett.
literally thrown away into a pit at the end of the third movie.
Yeah,
Uh, and then for some reason, people just latched onto the character, and
well, he appeared in the second and third film. He had this. He's working with Darth Vader side by
Yeah.
side. Like he was one of the bounty hunters, and you go through Han Solo. Like Han Solo's being hunted the first time we meet him. Greedo's the guy who captures him but loses. So the second best bounty hunter is this Boba Fett guy. And so it was a toy that you could send off for that also had this urban legend about. They did a recall on it because the rocket in the back actually would launch this little plastic rocket.
oh yeah,
And then a kid had choked and died on it, so they had to pull that.
Gotcha.
But there, as far as Boba Fett collectibles, like there are these white Mandalorian suit Boba Fett's that were designed early on that are really, really rare. And I think
I think it's like the Toys That Made Us or so. One of those documentary things. Yeah,
the toy collector was one where I saw a guy buy one at a con.
dude.
Yeah, and he laid down big cash for it too.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, so Boba Fett's always had this cool mythology because
Yeah.
you could send away and get the figure. He was working with Darth Vader. He's the second best bounty hunter because he's got our man Han, and he's fucking put him in carbonite, and he has this cool ass ship, even though it looks like an iron.
Yeah, it does.
But then, and then when you bring in the prequels, they kind of bring him back in a way.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I mean
tell
that
his
was a
origin.
really cool. I like that story of like he's just a clone of himself and like that. I thought that was really cool. I like Jango Fett. His look too, like less battle worn, more like this is like more
New and shiny. Yeah.
yeah, which really translated really well to when they introduced Din, like his Mandalorian suit, which is really funny because he's got the best one of like all the Mandalorians that are in the
Yeah.
show.
Total Beskar.
Yeah, like just full of best, like all shiny Beskar, and even Bo-Katan. Like I love the owl design.
Yeah.
I love when she put the Mythosaurus on her shoulder or her other shoulder, I guess.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But I really thought they were setting up something with the armor, and then nothing.
See, I was getting that vibe too, and someone had wrote a fan theory on Reddit about the arbor is going to be the one that's going to turn.
Yeah,
that she's working with them, and
Well,
so
'cause-
that makes me think. Well, and then I was like, it really would fuck up this whole episode if that happens, and then we'd have to wait till next season. And they didn't do it; they tied it up really nice.
it's the little horns on her helmet, and then you have like that's on like what's his name? Also, Moff Gideon. His helmet also has the little spikes. So like, now did you see the theory that Moff Gideon in the previous seasons had a mustache? But in this season, the one we see does not, and we know that his clones don't have mustache.
Right.
So people are saying that the Moff Gideon that was killed off was a clone of Moff Gideon. Which, look, I'll any way you can bring back Giancarlo Esposito, I'll
Bring it back.
Yeah,
Because he does the best. Well, I mean, like of the great villains of Star Wars. I mean, yeah, he has the best presence and dialogue.
he is very close to like he was. It's almost as he was trying to build himself up to be Darth Vader, because he wanted a clone that could also harness the Force.
Right. And he was just trying to make himself better through
Yeah.
each one. And so it sounds like that he was trying to take Grogu
Mm-hmm.
and I guess midichlorians. They didn't want to say midichlorians, but I feel like that
We
maybe
know.
that was part of it.
Yeah. We know
That
we
was
know
part
what
of his
you mean.
research.
Yeah, so I do agree with Leonard Kim. Whoops. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this season. It was all over the place, and some of it for the good, all over the place as far as like, and I don't know if that's what Leonard Kim means, but I do like that we went to a lot of places. Sometimes the story maybe felt a little disjointed because maybe I need to go back and rewatch the season.
I mean,
Uh,
it's all about Mando just
yeah.
following and helping out. He helps out on Navarro. He helps out Bo Katan, and especially like when he says, you had me at battle droids. Like he just wants to go out and kind of fight,
Yeah.
and then there's this sense of having purpose in place
Hmm.
with the Mandalorians, and then uniting them, and like he could see he could be part of something bigger, but it's really Bo Katan's story because it's about her redemption and her, and like even those soldiers who feel like that they had disappointed her,
Yeah.
like, and she goes, no, like I gave up, like I had to save more lives, but they still stand by her, and it's just really interesting to see that dynamic as it plays out from this person who had lost everything. Even at the beginning of the season, we just see her sitting on the throne with nothing. And she
Yeah.
loses all of that to gain her home world, her people reuniting, and her leading them into
Yeah.
a new age of Mandalore.
I mean, kudos to Katie Sackhoff. She is fantastic. I'm glad that she had the opportunity to like, a character that she used to voice
Yeah,
to translate it to live action herself. I think that's really cool. Because sometimes voice actors are not they're not like actors that go on live action screens, right?
right.
So that was really cool. But yeah, I really liked it. I like Grogu. Like everything with Grogu was really fun this season. Him having the IG-12 suit on, that was really cool.
He gets knighted in the last episode.
Yeah. Oh man, when he got his name,
He got
Din
his
Grogu.
name this episode.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my.
so was the Mandalorian's name just Jaren before he became
I,
uh an apprentice?
I guess so.
Interesting.
And it's also interesting that even though like he's Grogu's 50, they say he's still a youngling because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
can't speak the creed.
Yeah.
So he has to be able to speak. And so
So he
are
adopted
they
him.
going to give him a voice
Yeah. I
through
mean,
the
we
run?
know his species is able to talk
Yeah.
eventually. Um,
But do you get that accent by where you live, or do you get that accent
right. Is he gonna
by
sound like
your
Pedro
race?
Pascal or like Frank Oz?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's really interesting. I love the moment where the fireballs were coming and Grogu just like the Force,
Yeah.
or when he took the Praetorian Guards, which I'm glad
Yes.
oh man, the Praetorian Guards, I'm glad they came back. Like I love them from the Last Jedi. That was a really cool scene in the throne room.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like they really raised the stakes because we know how dangerous they are from the movie, which is really interesting to retroactively seeing them, like these new guards. Because I think in the other movies they were a little different, right? In the original movies, the ones that are with Palpatine,
I don't know because
it's been a long time too.
yeah.
But I think they did have guards like that, but these are like better trained
Well,
fighters.
yeah,
I mean,
those were the Emperor's Royal Guards, and I don't remember them ever fighting.
yeah.
Now the guards that Snoke had, that's what this
Yeah,
reminded
I
me
think
of.
so. I
Was
think
more
the
of that.
Emperor also had like elite fighters with him, but he just never
Yeah,
needed
you
them.
just never see him fight.
Yeah. And then I mean they took out Pop Vizsla, so like you knew
That was a tough one, man.
that was rough.
The dude who really kind of questioned everyone coming in and seemed to be the protector of this community
Yeah.
is gone now, and that also you get to see his youngling.
Yeah, he's now they gave him his what is it called? Mandalorian. He took the
Yeah,
creed or whatever
yeah, he
whatever
was
the
able to
next level.
speak the creed, and that was where we find out that Grogu can't.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. We'll probably talk more about the Mandalorian later on once everybody gets to watch it. We'll
I think this is the best season. I mean, I get excited because I see all the stuff that's kind of laid out from the very beginning to now, and this is the Moff Gideon arc. I'm assuming from beginning to
Yeah,
end. But then
yeah.
you got Bo-Katan here as her piece in the last season. So if we get a season 4, maybe it's just going to be all new. But like, I just love Jon Favreau's tight storytelling, and he tells it like a Raiders of the Lost Ark, like the old serials, like their action. They have great cliffhangers, just fun fan moments too.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like the relationship, how his character changed
Hmm.
because of Grogu.
Right.
I think it's great. It's great. So, very similar to. Have you seen The Last of Us?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, very similar. Very
Oh,
similar arcs in the characters.
Joel's violence is on a different level. The way
That's
that they show it
yeah.
in there, because man, when I see him like really trying to find Ellie in the
Well,
last,
this is a Disney show, Clay. Where they can't go there.
oh
If The
god,
Mandalorian was on HBO, I'm sure it'd be a lot more violent.
the other thing that's been great this season is seeing Mandalorians fight in their suits, like
Hmm.
against each other, and how they do. Like that last week with Katie Sackhoff and the other guy from that had taken her ship and her
Axis,
troops.
yeah,
Dude, I love those because
those
you're
were tight.
like, even when they got Bando down, like all tied down, like his suit could do so many different things. What's going to happen?
Right.
And they're just flying at each other, kicking, and they have like little mini shields, and oh,
Yeah.
that's just the shit right there. And when they had those things flying and fighting at the same time, dude, I just had a blast. I don't know how it could be all over the place, but I had fun, and all the action sequences were a
My
blast.
my one disappointment is that no one in the fight like did the ducking to fire the rocket from the back.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I love how ridiculous of a premise is that you have to like bend over to
That,
fire the rocket.
but that was Boba Fett's
Yeah.
rocket, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he had
because
that old
he
ass
did it. I
equipment.
think he did it in his show,
Yeah,
which
non
is
Beskar.
really funny. It's bad
Maybe
design, but it's really funny.
maybe that's his Nos.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Um Also, I the last thing I love that they brought like IG-11 became the sheriff in Navarro.
Yes.
Very cool. So happy to see Taika still getting work.
Yeah. Yeah. He can't get work anymore.
So cool. All right. Well, let's move on
Let's get
to
into
here.
some Superman.
Let's take off this thing. So yeah, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, over the last week we had on Tuesday was the 85th anniversary of, I guess, the publishing of Action Comics #1. So I talked to the guy, said, well, and when we were thinking there was going to be more people on the show, I told him like, yeah, let's talk about Superman. Let's talk about some of our. I think we've talked about before, like some of our favorite stories. I just wanted to see if you had any other that are either something newer that you read, and it doesn't have to be just Superman. I mean, we can talk. He's got a whole super fam. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, they're
I still stick with the old stuff, and I hate that I do this, but because I have been such a fan for so long, that like All Star Superman pays off better by being a
yeah,
fan. It's kind of like, like when people go, "What's your favorite Batman movie?" and I'll say Lego Batman, because you have to have all those other elements to pay off in that movie. That's kind of what All Star Superman. If you know some of the Silver Age history that's woven into it, just every issue kind of has that highlight of Superman knowledge
yeah,
that's always neat to find in there. So I love that. I love the Man for All Seasons, which is just 4 separate stories from different views about Superman. I love those. And really, what's so good about Truth, Justice, and the American Way? It's just one issue of Action Comics. It's 775 by Joe Kelly, and that's where we meet the Elite. And it was kind of that period in time when Warren Ellis was doing the Authority,
yeah,
and so the Authority was kind of becoming bigger than Superman and outselling Superman, but it wasn't really a good team. It was a team of like drug users and people who kind of use their power in certain ways that isn't necessarily, it's in the gray area. I'll put the
Yeah.
authority in the gray because DC has the good and the evil, but they were having to compete with that. And so Joe Kelly just wrote this incredible story about what it's like to be Superman.
Yeah, and we'll definitely see more of that in the future, I think.
Yeah, and it's about because it's about hope. It isn't about just vengeance and justice and no matter the cost. Superman, and this is what I wanted to ask: is what does a Superman story need? And I feel like every Superman story needs to have hope.
I think that's definitely one of the elements. And when you asked me earlier, I was thinking, and I think Superman. One of the big things that a lot of his stories that I really like is, over obviously, and it's this is kind of a simple answer, but just overcoming the adversity in whatever way it comes at you, right?
Right.
Because it's not always about. Yeah, I love seeing Superman just punch things. I think that's especially when he lets loose, that's really fun.
Yeah.
But when he has to think about what the best way to solve something, I
Right.
think that's really cool as well.
I mean, we see that arc in Captain America from the beginning. He wants to just be a fighter to where we see him go into the elevator where he's had a fight before and know how to manipulate an entire group of soldiers to just give him something and never throw a punch.
Yes. Yeah, I mean or even the when he gets the scepter back, right? He tricks them. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you were talking about.
Yeah. So for Superman, like to me, it's always been about
his battle with I think the Elite. It's a good. It appears he's putting on a facade of like taking them out with brawn and just brute strength and violence. But when you get the reveal of, and I'm basing the movie's a lot more fresher in my head than the
comic.
But I mean, it's kind of, I think it ends up the same way. Like the way he gets, he beats Manchester Black and the Elite. He took them out each in their own fashion of like, like he had to really think about what the best way was because he knew he couldn't just punch it out of them.
Yeah. There's and not to just nitpick, but because we could go through the whole history of Superman, but the Zack Snyder Superman always just seemed more about the violence. Like there's destruction everywhere. I could punch people through things. I can kill. And to me, with that level, there was never any hope. There was never that level of Superman just like it was all about destruction. Like I have to destroy these people at any cost. Like in Man of Steel. Does that make sense? You've seen it enough.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but I think that movie shows you like that he doesn't want to resort to that, right? I like, especially when he's taking on General Zod and he's taking on his own people. The last thing he wants to do is like get rid of them because he finally found he feels like I think when he originally goes to the ship and they take him, his intention is to like, I'm just gonna go with them and when we can go back and try to rebuild Krypton somewhere. Obviously, General Zod had other plans because that's what happens when Michael Shannon is your villain.
Oh god damn!
But yeah,
I feel like he needs to revisit the DCU. I would love to see him return in some way.
You will in the Flash movie, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
he's don't worry, you get another crack at General Zod.
Yeah, but that's not what I want. I want him to play somebody else.
He's gonna play Luthor in that Legacy movie.
Oh fuck! Wow. Michael Shannon would be a great Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
but, he's a great actor. He could really play any villain. But like, if you could pick,
I kind of want to see him as a good guy. I love when he's kind of like goofy and stuff. So I don't know, but I don't know who.
Okay, so I pitched this once before. I think Michael Shannon could take on Wolverine. That would be a different take than Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
You know,
and I would love to see that.
I think maybe I don't know how old Michael Shannon is. Maybe he's too old for this now, but I think he would have been cool as Animal Man.
Yeah,
Uh,
because what was the movie? Is it called Countdown, where he has the kid who has the special powers?
Midnight Special.
Midnight Special. Yeah, that because that's the film I would go to for that
Yeah.
because he's playing a dad the way Buddy Baker is in the Best Animal Man run.
Also,
Carter
he
run.
probably would be a good Carter Hall.
Oh shit! Yeah, just like the Eternal Warrior.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fuck, that would be good.
Or even
He's so
Eternal
good
Warrior.
at
Or
stuff.
if you want to go Valiant, Eternal Warrior for sure. Yeah.
Eternal Warrior.
So,
Yeah. I would just take Michael Shannon in a heartbeat
but
for any
but
other character.
to put a button on the Man of Steel thing, like the moment that I think when he kills Zod and immediately has that moment of like regret
Regret. Yeah.
and pain, like I think I think that's it's the same way to tell the like like I said it's the last thing he wants to do, and you can see that there. But yeah, but I it's not a very straightforward approach. So
Right. That's my problem with it.
yeah, so I had a story here. I don't think people talk enough about Superman Birthright, the Mark Waid, Lineal U, and I think because originally those were supposed to be like Elseworlds,
Oh, really?
but they've taken a lot of aspects of it and just kind of
I've
folded
got
it
that book.
into.
Does it not? Is it not a?
I don't know if it says Elseworlds, but as I was reading the notes for the show, like this was originally pitched to be just like a non-canon thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and
That
then it
Mark
kind of
Waid.
became.
But I think kind of like the Killing Joke that because it was so popular and like some aspects of it, they're like, okay, we'll just kind of fold it into the canon. But I mean, Mark Waid, Leno Yu, like that's a really good, really talented team to tell the story of like kind of his reintroduce his origin and telling a retelling a little bit about that while this um while he's dealing with this politician on Earth and he's trying to solve some of that stuff. Like I think when Superman has to get involved in politics or like geopolitical issues,
Yeah.
I think that's also very interesting because he can't just go in and punch like something, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
guess he could if you've seen Superman Red Sun. I guess he could, but yeah, I think that's a really not so much underrated, just like maybe not talked about as much. Um,
Red Sun has to be appreciated for the American way tag that's always been stuck with Superman. You know, truth and justice. But then when Bryan Singer did the film, they dropped the American way. It was just those two that they focused on.
I mean,
And
DC's kind of also fashioned that, right?
yeah,
The Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow, which I think makes more sense.
oh,
Um,
definitely, yeah,
Not
because
everyone
you
agrees.
can't put everything into. I mean, and when did they establish that? Like, was that
It
on
was
the
with
first?
John when John became Superman.
Oh, okay. I was thinking. No, I was thinking about American Way. Has it always been since the
Oh,
first Action
that's probably
Comics,
yeah. I would think so. I mean, it makes sense at the time that probably during the events of
World War
World War
II? Yeah.
II, like it's probably important. And I get, like I said, I understand for the time, but I think the characters evolved into much more of a global icon too. So
Oh, yes, definitely, and with more, like you said, Superman
yeah,
family.
yep. Now another thing I wanted to talk about is, and it's not only the 85th anniversary of Superman, but also of Lois Lane, because she was in the first issue of Action Comics, and I think from what I've seen, some of the old books, like her character remains truly very unchanged. Like as far as like she's always been like Lois Lane, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but
I
that's
think
the
it
fun part of Lois is they'd have these Lois spin-off books that would
yeah.
just be like, what could we write about? And like Shelby finds the great covers, and then she'll get the books of like Lois Lane is marrying the devil, and Superman thinks that he accidentally killed her, and just the weird stuff that happened in uh, the Lois Lane books. There was another one where Lois like becomes black for an issue, which is really
Yeah.
awkward. But it was done in the '60s, so you go, well, they didn't really, they weren't, it wasn't culturally appropriate at the time. Then Marvel did it with the Punisher in the '90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
Lois just always had the weird, quirky adventures, kind of like Jimmy Olsen. Like, if you really want to appreciate the Jimmy Olsen stuff, the Matt Fraction run of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen is a great read
mhm.
because it kind of references like just the weird stuff Jimmy Olsen would have to deal with.
It tries
those
to like
wacky
put it
stories.
tries to streamline all those adventures into like one series in a fun way. But for Lois, I would say Greg Rucka did a really fun run of like I think it's called Lois Lane, Enemy of the People.
Yeah,
It's great. It's probably I mean I would say maybe I haven't read a lot of just Lois center stories because it was interesting that DC for a minute kind of made her like this almost like a spy with the whole Leviathan stuff that was going on with Bendis.
yeah.
I didn't really enjoy the
I was gonna say
Leviathan.
that was the Checkmate stuff, right?
Yeah, but yeah, but out of that came the series that Rucka did for
Oh,
her. Um, and I would also say that All Star Superman's almost as much a Lois story as it is a Superman story.
yeah.
Because she even gets powers for a little bit, right? Like he creates the Superman serum or whatever.
Who are the three essential Superman villains to you?
Luthor, mm, Zod, because I feel like Zod is a what if Superman could have turned out to be.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of Zod because it like you said earlier. He is the key to his home world, but
Yeah,
he's also the worst thing, and he can't deal with him. So like he's destined to be the last Kryptonian
yeah.
while fighting Zod.
Who's the third one? Who's a good third one? Uh, that finding
I
a
go
third one.
between Brainiac and Bizarro.
Yeah, probably Brainiac. I think more than Bizarro. I think especially what they've done with Bizarro in the like more recent times. I kind of like Bizarro more as an anti-hero type of like he's not evil, he's just doesn't understand how to
Yeah,
sometimes do good.
he's
Like
just
right?
misunderstood.
Yeah, he's more of a misunderstood character. Kind of like Solomon Grundy, I think also falls into that category a little bit.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, I would say Brainiac. I also really like Cyborg Superman.
yeah.
Um,
See, I love
uh,
Steel more of
I
the
think
four.
I think all the Superman like the fourth Superman that came out in the '90s when he died.
Eradicator.
The Eradicator is cool because he believes he's Superman. Then like as we've seen, there's nothing more powerful and more dangerous than like that unwavering belief that you're correct,
Right.
right?
And that makes it scary.
Yeah. And then Cyborg Superman also like it's very similar. Whereas like he thinks he is uh, Superman as well. And like I mean I love Connor. I think you know like the whole thing about Connor almost feels like fan fiction of like somebody just wanted to get Luthor and Superman to be a
Yeah.
couple, and they're like, well, this is their kid. You know, they have somebody together.
So weird.
It's
So
so
weird.
funny.
So will they tell that Elseworld of the happy couple of Clark
Yeah,
Kent and
yeah.
Lex
It'll be
Luthor
an Elseworld
raising
of like
Connor together?
they actually just raced the boy together. And then I mean I think Steel is definitely more of the Superman of the people of like what happens when somebody has all the values but doesn't have the power and you know so
Right.
yeah very cool yeah I mean like I said I love all that kind of nonsense from the 90s.
Favorite non-traditional Superman costume?
uh ooh. Immediately to my mind came the electric suits from the
That's
Red
what.
one. Um the like
The white suit you showed was
the
really
white
good.
suit I showed earlier that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did like that.
I like the Injustice take too with the big broad like shoulder things that he's wearing.
Yeah.
And there's
Trunks
also
or no
like
trunks?
I think trunks. I don't mind if there's no trunks, but I think trunks are needed.
Yeah.
I also really like. There's a story in Justice League Unlimited that I'm sure it's from the comics where he gets sent off to the future and like only Vandal Savage is still alive.
Oh wow.
So he's wearing like he grows a beard and he's wearing like this like throw like his cape. He's wearing it more like a cloak
Yeah.
type of thing, and he carries like an axe or a sword or something because he's like everything's dead. Uh, which is, I guess, Vandal Savage. I don't know. Vandal Savage is a really interesting character. I wouldn't even call him a villain all the time. I just think you live long enough, you become the villain,
Yeah.
and that guy's immortal. So like,
Yeah. Like
yeah,
I love that like there's an element of him that is good and bad
yeah,
during Superman that like he could be a villain and really like he's led the Legion of Doom before, hasn't he?
oh yeah,
Okay, I was going. I think that's where I remember him the most is like him leading those people and just getting Luther to kind of be under him was such a big because those two are such at odds in that they think they're the best,
yeah.
and I think Luther might be right over Vandal Savage.
Maybe. I want. I also
I,
think anytime Superman's out of time, uh, like there's been a few stories, and I can't think of any exactly right now, but like I know I've seen it, especially because like you watch the like when he gets thrown into the past, so like he has to try to blend in.
yeah, the Old West.
Yeah, yeah, like stuff like that. I think
Him,
there's one
Batman, and
movie.
Wonder Woman went into the Old West on a Justice League Unlimited that was really
Yeah,
good. I think it was a Dwayne McDuffie episode.
I also really like the. It's called Superman Doomed by Greg Pak, where he kills Doomsday, but Doomsday has evolved to become like a virus. So Superman gets infected. So Superman's transforming into Doomsday,
Oh,
like
he becomes his
as
own
he's
worst enemy.
becoming Doomsday as thing. Yeah, that was during the New 52, and like I remember reading it. Like I have a special affection for a lot of that New 52 stuff because like when I started really reading comics, so like waiting for the next episode, and I love Greg Pak. I think he took a big chance too, like depowering Superman,
Yeah,
where he was wearing just the jeans and a shirt, and he had parts of his like he had lost his cape, so like he only had like pieces of it that he wrapped around his hands. Uh, yeah, I think they did a lot of they've done such interesting things with Superman. Um,
now, are there any some Superman villains you haven't seen get their due?
in the recent times, I'm trying to. Yeah, I don't know. I like what they're doing with Metallo right now too. I think Metallo is a really fun villain for him, uh, because it feels like he's kind of a victim of the circumstance. And I think a lot of now that we're talking about this, a lot of Superman's villains, apart from like Luthor or Brainiac or even Zod, they're kind of victim of the circumstance of what's going on with them. Like the Parasite too, right? Like
Right.
he needs that, and that's who the villain was on the first Superman arc that Joshua
Right.
Williamson's writing. So yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I think I think Superman has two types of villains, like guys that are truly truly evil, and then the ones that are just kind of victims of circumstance and misunderstood. Um, I do want to go and read the Philip K. Johnson stuff in Warworld,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
because I think Superman as Conan the Barbarian, kind of, which I think it's kind of what I can see that looks like. It's probably really cool. Mongol's another one. I think Mongol's another like really interesting villain for Superman because he has the power, but also the brains and the resources of Warworld. Um, I think Despero too. I don't know if he's just a Superman villain. He's more of a
Despero's
Justice
a good
League.
one.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I would love to see them use Mixoplex
yeah.
because I feel like he's kind of more of a comedic take, but you could make that a lot darker.
Oh, for sure.
Um, I
Yeah.
love, I love Kingdom Come. I love that's the costume that because I love the style of the S and the darkness, and I love the Brandon Routh take in the live action. I love the art of Alex Ross and the friendship of Diana and Bruce and Clark in that together.
Yeah.
Um, like
Yeah. No, I
I
agree.
hate to be the old guy who just like jumps to the end, but it's like when you establish those things, like their friendship and stuff. Like we never really had that Bruce and Clark engagement like we did in Public Enemies, the Jeff
Right.
Loeb run. I got to step away for a minute. Can you run
Okay.
for a while?
Yeah. Go ahead. All right. While Clay gets back, let's um let's see if there's any trailers or anything that we haven't seen before. We'll do that. Or if you're in the chat, if you're watching, if you're one of the few people watching, because I can see you're watching. Yeah, give us a take, give us a question or something. Let's see. Oh, I know what we'll watch. We'll watch that White Man Can't Jump trailer. Let's see. All right, let's see. I haven't seen the original movie, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, here's the White Man Can't Jump trailer. That's coming to Hulu.
Dang, it's win by 2. Not here, it's not.
Hey, they letting yoga instructors in the gym now.
Ball.
I just noticed you're not getting enough legs on the shot. Are you dehydrated?
$100, you can't make more shots.
Let's just do 300.
It's not my dad's money.
We ain't never gonna get a reparation that way, bro.
So I prefer Venmo or Zelle, but you seem like a Cash App guy, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, C5.
You think you're slick, huh? Showing up to course dressed like a dumbass, acting like you can't hoop.
You assumed I couldn't hoop because I'm white, which is incredibly outdated.
No, I assumed you couldn't hoop because you were dressed like a white girl at Whole Foods.
It's really hard to plan for the future when we're always worried about money because you're out here living in a fantasy.
My 30-day detox program. You want a free sample?
Nah, I ain't drinking no boo-boo juice.
Wait, it's almost the first.
I'm gonna go tomorrow, I forgot.
Why don't you just go now?
We'll be fine. Hey, don't worry, mommy.
Don't worry, mommy.
Every hooper I know is entering that big ass tournament with a winner get 500,000.
I just need somebody who can play so I can make some money.
You're joking, right?
500,000 for one day of hoop.
Yeah.
We can hustle a few games together to get the money for the entry fee.
I'll find some marks. Those short shorts look incredible on you. Throw them off their game.
You have an OnlyFans?
And we'll clean up. You gonna wear that trash bag?
You gonna wear that fake ass Richard Simmons outfit?
I don't know, bro. I bet y'all got one coming in these dinner.
Release for me.
Oh, that's
Release
interesting.
for me. That's the
I
band.
doubt that.
It's enough jokes. Then the sun died.
Don't spend any of the money until we can cover the fee.
I should be saying that to you.
Well, I'm good with money.
So am I.
So am I.
Me too.
Me too.
Where?
Word, bro.
If she's empty, down the drugstore. If she's empty, cup toast, got a duffel full of hundreds. That'll love go.
Buckets. What? Just wanted to see if you had superhuman hearing because of your.
That's my what?
They're gonna kill him in the parking lot.
I'm out here. He got a flamethrower.
Flamethrower? What is this, Mad Max?
5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
What the hell?
I don't go, bro.
I don't know how much you talking trash lady today, but good work.
Thank you. You could talk way more trash out there. You have so much material I can't even touch.
Like what?
Never mind.
Oh, tell us.
Where the love go?
That looks pretty good. Pretty good. Give me 1 second, everyone. That's me. It's me. Come back. It's my microphone.
Okay, good. Because I was like, oh shit.
There was a bug on the wall, and so I turned it off in case I smacked it in the wall. I didn't want it to make too much noise. Yeah, I was watching the trailer for White Man Can't Jump. I don't know if it's a movie on Hulu or a series that's coming.
The remake.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that I've never seen the original one, so.
Dude, you got to see it for Montoya
Woody?
from Birds of Prey. It's
Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez is in it, and this is peak Rosie Perez.
Okay. I can't tell. I think this is a movie.
Plus, it's Wesley Snipes and Woody.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson. Real cool. All right, let's wrap up on Superman because I do want to watch the thing we talked about.
Oh, the Titans thing.
Yeah. So, is there anything else on Superman? I think we kind of covered a lot of it too.
Yeah, I'm just I'm excited for Superman Legacy. The things I would like to see James Gunn get into will be. I want to see the Fortress of Solitude. I want to see his take. I mean, I'm assuming he's going to use some Donner material and not go through the whole origin again. I want to see a good villain, but I want a good story that isn't a story setting up another story.
Okay.
I want Superman to have hope. I want Superman to make choices that aren't always violence. I want, and I want a villain that whose acts are the opposite of that. Like all he thinks of is violence.
Somebody who wakes up and shows violence.
Yes, exactly. I feel like Lex Luthor has to be a part of if it's a trilogy or what have you. Lex needs to be a part of it as well.
Yeah.
I want to see a relationship between those two, and what is it? Because I always loved Smallville and the idea of Lex and Clark growing up together. What would that be like?
Now, from what we know, this is going to be a younger Superman. He's going to be around 25.
So he's going to be early at the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
He's going to may or may not have Lois, may or may not have Jimmy. I think, it doesn't have to even have a Perry White. The sense of him working for a newspaper is going to be so different nowadays. So, what is that concept? Is he just going to be a guy who, I would say, works the beat, does his own thing? And
it's going to be a blogger.
Yeah.
He's going to be on TikTok.
What I don't want to see is another retelling of the origin, because we've seen it in every single Superman. Mm-hmm. We've seen it in every single Batman, and I get tired of but I know the concept is you have to treat every movie like someone's seeing it for the first time, but Batman and Superman have been part of pop culture media forever. Forever. There isn't a time where you can't turn on and catch Batman or Superman cartoon or movie or Batman 66 running somewhere. So you could summarize Superman's origin in less than 5 minutes.
And I was just on my buddy's stream the other day talking about superhero fatigue, and one of the things we all agreed upon was we don't need to see any more training montages of superheroes or sure, we know how they got their powers, just hit it and run. So that'll be interesting. I think I'm excited. Obviously, I'm also very excited for Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think the Super family seems to be in good hands. We also have that the animated show coming to Adult Swim. So that'll be fun. I know they showed us a 15-second teaser thing.
I want to see the importance of Ma and Pa Kent.
Oh yeah.
Because to me,
then you're gonna like this Connor book.
To me, it's always been about Superman comes from the raising of these two parents.
Yeah.
Parents who weren't going to have the opportunity to have a child. And so they put the best that they had into him, and he is Superman.
Yeah.
And God, if every parent just parented that way, we'd have a better country.
You know what else we were kind of talking about? I was on a chat with somebody that were talking, and because this is going to be a younger Superman, the way they could tie it up in the future, like the way they could set it up, is that this legacy film takes place like maybe in the 90s, and then the stuff that actually connects to the rest of the universe takes place more in the contemporary days.
That's a great idea.
Because Superman, there's many ways that he won't age, right?
Right.
It could be just his Kryptonian physiology, whatever story you want to put on there, that there's a reason why he kind of so you can kind of keep the same actor.
So then you would have a Gen X Superman, because he would be in his 20s in the 90s.
Yeah, probably so.
That I'm fucking down with that. Like, what is, because it's very interesting to also see like how Batman used music at that time period with Nirvana to be like, what would Batman be like growing up during this time?
And James Gunn loves this soundtrack, so
that's true. Like, what's the Superman
what's
soundtrack
the
for
music
him?
behind the stuff that the script that he's writing? So
I don't see how you don't go to John Williams and just play the fucking theme.
It'll be interesting to see James Gunn write a character who's not an underdog, or will he make Superman an underdog in some form of fashion?
I mean, if he took the Zack Snyder way, it would be interesting to have him be like treated like an alien.
Yeah.
Be someone who has to prove himself and be that light, be the I mean, stealing Batman's line, be the light in the night.
Yeah.
But be that thing that's better, that makes better choices, that wakes up and doesn't choose violence, but chooses solutions.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited about all this stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Let's do recommendations first in case we get dropped off.
Yeah.
And I can go because I do have something. And this is something pretty. Speaking of Zack Snyder, he was recently on the Russo's podcast, the Pizza Film School.
Yeah.
This is where they bring on a director, and they just talk about focusing on one of their films, but they pretty much talk about like their career, and they said that the goal of this podcast, or you can watch it on YouTube, is to help out people that can't go to film school and people that want to make movies, and just kind of point them out. So it's really it's 2 parts, about 2 hours. I've only seen the first part, but I mean, this is the directors of Endgame and the director of like Justice League talking about each other's stuff and their processes and stuff. Like,
that's cool.
It's really cool, really interesting. So if you like both of them, then you're gonna have a really good time. If you only like one of them, I think you'll still really get a lot of it, like just about, because it's really fun to see. It's really cool to see like these like the Russos, that I think I would say they're more popular in the mainstream than Snyder, because I think Snyder more of an acquired taste. But like, really interesting to see them like being kind of awe of like the things that he does and how they talk about his work, and then vice versa, right? Because Zach does the same thing about what they do. And they're both trying to bring these mythological characters to the screen. So it's a really fun conversation. So I'm excited. I might do a little video of like just some of my favorite things about the conversation. So expect to see some of that on the channel. And yeah, it's fun, and it's really, and they're like eating deep dish pizza while they're talking, which is
good.
It's really funny because at first, like, I was like, I don't know that this is part of Snyder's diet. Like, I feel like this dude is.
Why do you know Snyder's diet?
I mean, if you've seen the dude, like, he probably doesn't eat a lot of bad junk food, right? Like, the man's ripped. So we'll see. But it's really funny. Like, and the Russos, they're also very interesting. You get to see a lot of their process too behind everything they did for specifically Infinity and Endgame. They kind of focus on when they talk about that, I feel like that's the more challenging. That's the culmination of everything they learned throughout all
Yeah.
the other stuff. So yeah, it's really fun. Like I said, it's on their YouTube channel. But Clay, what do you got? Because I think you got something real cool.
God Country.
Yes.
I am a Donny Cates fanboy, and this is one of his books I hadn't read. So the library got a copy, and I just buzzed through it last night.
Nice.
This is just the coolest fucking book. It
Valifax.
is. Yes, Valifax is the sword, and it's really about the sword. So the story opens up, and you come to discover there's a man and his wife and their daughter that they're in Texas, and they've come to see his dad, and he has Alzheimer's, so he's not all there. If you've ever dealt with anyone who's had it, and like I've had it in my family, like they just aren't aware of who you are sometimes, and just like zone out or believe people are stealing from them, just lots of different complications. And then his dad also gets violent, so he makes it a lot worse. But then he is somehow able to call forth this sword that stabilizes him, that helps the Alzheimer's together, so that he can recognize them and talk and have full control.
Yeah.
But the sword was taken from a warrior, a god. And so that warrior comes to challenge him for the sword. And if he gives up the sword, then he loses his mind.
Mm-hmm.
He fights for the sword. He's able to be with his family. And it's just so great. And I love that Donny Cates is from Texas and puts all his stuff in Texas. His vampire book, God Country. It's just good fun. And he just creates this Mjolnir level like weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know it also shows up in Crossover.
Yep. Yeah, that was cool.
So, I'm gonna rip through Crossover again after this. But really, if you've dealt with Alzheimer's, great book. If you love like a great, oh my God, family story, mythology created from scratch, this is just a great book, and I love the art. Like there are just so many great pages of that sword being welded in different worlds.
Yeah, is it Jeff Shaw? I think, right?
Yeah, Jeff Shaw.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on and on about this, but I really hope more people pick this up, because it's really fun. And I mean, I say fun, but it's also very touching. I mean, to see this grandfather who, like, there's one point in the book where he gets his memory back because of the sword, and then the last memory he has was of his daughter-in-law being pregnant. So he's never seen his granddaughter until now. Like you're just overwhelmed with like different things that he goes through during the story, and I just loved it.
Yeah. Yep. And it's being made into a movie, so.
Yeah, that's great. I think I'd said that Donny Cates is adapting it for screen, so that's even fucking cooler. Like he has control of his material like that.
Very excited. Cool. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about, and like I said, if the stream cuts off, it's because of copyright stuff, but Clay told me, and I saw this on YouTube, but Clay watched the Titans episode. Now, this is his episode 4, season 4, season 4, episode 9, is that right?
Yeah, it's the latest episode, and I had seen I would say a spoiler. I thought it was cool. I thought, they're going to have this cool moment in Titans. I should let everyone know to not get spoiled by Twitter like I did. And then I watched the whole episode, and what a waste of my time this was. So just watch the clip, because the episode is not worth watching.
All right, well, we're going to waste a little bit more of Clay's time. So we'll watch this. If the stream gets cut off, like I said, thanks for watching. But yeah, this is how we're going to go out. So let's go take a look at this. It's called Garfield Explores the Multiverse, which sounds really cool.
And it's really Garfield exploring the red. Like they tried. This was actually a Grant Morrison Animal Man issue 3 that was written where Animal Man goes with Bwana Beast, who's trying to save these monkeys that are being, poisoned and treated with stuff. And Bwana Beast can only like meld species together. That's like he has this weird power. And so, there are like two cool moments in the whole thing. Bwana Beast using his power to put the chemist or put the person torturing the ape into the ape. Cool as hell. The rest of it is a lot of fucking dialogue for backstory you shouldn't have to do in a TV show like this. But this is basically Animal Man 3 that was written by Grant Morrison.
That makes sense why it's so weird.
Yeah, so.
All right, let's check it out. Let me know if you can hear it.
And many others.
Grant.
When Flash comes back, Green Arrow should be in this.
Hello? Are you all right?
Where am I?
You're in Blue Valley, Nebraska.
Nebraska. Oh, North America.
Yeah, you came from nowhere. Just a light in the sky. I saw it. Cosmo! Sorry. Do you need help?
I need to get to my family.
I know how important family is.
I get the sense that you do. I need to get to them.
Where are they?
Oh, good question.
Take me to my family.
Who are you talking to?
Take me!
Why Swamp Thing would be in the red, I
Who is that?
don't know. Shazam.
Okay.
There's a time for us to let go. There's a time for
See you. Do you see me?
Is that Grant?
Yes.
time to listen.
Hey, I mean, just fucking Grant Morrison showing up is the coolest fucking thing. But
Where's it?
Time for us to
Waffle, waffle, waffle. The party's over, you pieces of shit!
Faintest possibly possible.
I do know, son, and that is you are here for a reason.
Citizens of Gotham City, this is the Joker.
Beast Boy.
Who's that?
Bwana Beast.
Oh, okay,
Well,
okay.
he's called Freedom Beast now.
Beast Boy.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a whole episode of Hot Mess to get to that point, But I thought the Grant Morrison part was the best
That was
part
so
of the whole
cool.
thing.
I mean,
that's the
I'm
coolest.
sure they love being on the show too.
I mean, Grant Morrison writes that in 1988 and then films it in 2023.
Incredible. Well,
He's a magician.
This part may not stay. Let's see. Well, we got some comments while that was going on. Letter Cable, he thought it was awesome. So, hey,
It was so. Oh no, there are two like that song that's playing during then. It
that
was
was
like
weird.
a
I
CW
would say,
song.
yeah,
It was a weird choice. There are two songs, and they're weird fucking choices for this whole episode.
Well, I mean, you can see maybe there's an audience out there that just love Titan, so probably why it's still around. Or I guess why it's getting one last season. All right, well, Clay, thank you very much. This was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for Superman. It always gets me hyped that we're going to get a Superman film.
Yeah. Next, in the next few weeks, we might be talking about Star Trek. I might have a special guest for that. We'll let you guys know more about that. So stay tuned. We should also have a review for that Ghosted movie on Apple TV with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. I'm working on that. And then just a whole bunch of other stuff. All the stuff we've been talking about, more comics. Really, really fun stuff coming out next week in the comic shops. And we now also will be doing more Dynamite reviews because Dynamite is now sending us review copies. So thanks for that. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell. We're on our way to 2,000. We just passed 1,600 subscribers this week. Very exciting stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Leonard.
The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here. Right now. Salute, mi familia. Salute.
Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Twitter loves you.
Oh, yeah. Clay?
Hail Bebo.
Josh, Simon Center, get the fuck out.